Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 86 F's to Give podcast. I'm your host, Al, and today we are joined by a very, very special guest, Marina Ruiz.
I'm so excited! I feel like this is my second influencer I've ran into in the past 2 weeks.
God. For those of you that know me, you probably already know Marina or have heard me talk about Marina. She is my longest best friend in the world. We have done the craziest things together. She's like my craziest friend, but also keeps me on track with my goals and all the things. We're going to talk all about it today, but she's just the best. So if you know her, it's your pleasure, honestly. Your honor to know her. And if you don't, you're going to get to know her a little bit today. And hopefully you'll follow along her journey because she's really killing it right now out in the world. So you'll learn all the things. But,
oh my God, I'm blushing.
Also, it's exciting because she is our first guest in the studio. Okay,
it's beautiful. Let me say.
Thank you.
It truly is.
Thank you so much.
It's very professional.
I'm pumped to have my first guest here live in the studio. Hopefully all the technology works as it's supposed to. I think we've got it going on. We will see. But today we are kind of 86ing a bunch of things because we talked beforehand in our prep meeting, you know, when my people contacted her people to get this meeting happening.
They reached out a while ago,
yes.
But I'm pretty busy.
Yeah,
so.
She's booked and busy. It was tough to get her over here.
We booked out 2 months in advance.
We kind of talked about a bunch of things that we're really passionate about, and we realized they all kind of fall under the same roof. So today we are 86ing the idea of having it all figured out / feeling like you're behind. And then we're also going to kind of talk about not feeling so complacent and also not having a lack of discipline, because I feel like those kind of help you not feel like you're behind or not having it all together. So we're going to go through a list of questions that is kind of going to guide us through this relatable but also important conversation. And Marina and I feel like we are, I wouldn't use the word qualified, but just like good people to talk about this with, because we've both taken very different paths to get to where we are today. And I think we're both very proud of where we are today, but no, there's still so much more that we have in store for both of us. So I wouldn't say either of us are like, oh yeah, we have it totally figured out.
No, not at all.
But there was a point.
The exact opposite of that.
There was a point where we felt even less figured out. So I feel like we're kind of in that middle ground where
we're better at navigating it.
Yes, we have some tips and tricks we can share while we're still in the thick of it. And I think that's like an important time to kind of talk about this, because we know we're not the only ones feeling this way. It's definitely something that society and just like the access that social media gives us to people's lives just kind of pushes onto us and makes it like 10 times worse with the age of social media. So we know we're not alone in feeling like this, and we're excited to kind of talk about all the things today that maybe will relate to you guys. And I also, so. Yes, Marina is simply just like Marina is like the queen of discipline in my eyes. So I'm excited personally to listen and learn from her as well. We've recently started doing accountability calls. Shout out David and his best friend, Marina's boyfriend. We stole that from him.
We did. They were our inspo.
And it's been so fun. And it honestly like helps so much, because I'm like, oh gosh, I like, can't tell Marina in a week that like I haven't done this thing, even though that has happened, but
and that's okay.
We're working on it. We're like 5 calls in, and it's been so fun. So yeah, I'm excited to just kind of hear what she has to say. Not that we don't talk all the time anyway, but this is a nice environment to kind of have those nitty gritty conversations, and I think it's going to be a really good one. So you guys are in for a treat.
A huge treat.
Marina, really quick before we get into the questions, would you please do us the pleasure of introducing yourself to people that don't know you? Tell us maybe your like college to now story, or wherever you can start at birth if you want.
Well, I was conceived on November 21st.
No, that's when you were
not conceived. I'm sorry. I was born on November 25th, 1998, 1 month after Allie.
Yes. So got that month.
I've just always been chasing Allie.
I'm just 1 month wiser, if you guys will. If you shall.
I did get my license before her. Anyway, who am I? My name is Marina, as Allie had said. We grew up in Delco together in Drexel Hill, right around the corner from each other. Let's just start from college.
Yeah.
So after high school, I went to high school out on the main line. I went to Notre Dame. It was great. Loved it there. Then I went to Penn State, and I studied public relations. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I just knew I didn't want to do math. So I just like
Same.
jumped into the PR major. And then I also like Spanish. So I had a Spanish major, and then I had 2 random minors, which like I don't know what minors do for anybody. Maybe I just didn't know how to utilize it. They were random too. Senior year, I'm like applying for jobs. I'm like, I literally like can't work right now. I've worked every day since I was like 16 in restaurants, and I didn't want to go corporate yet. I wasn't ready. So I moved to Spain, lived there for a year. It was literally the best year of my life. It was the most carefree I'd ever been in my life. Met amazing people, traveled. Again, just the best year of my life, and I had no regrets doing that. And after I got back from Penn State, my parents had already, or from Spain, my parents had already.
In Spain, she was teaching English.
Yes.
But also living her best life.
Yeah.
So she was like just killing it, absolutely.
I was an assistant English teacher, so I got paid a small pension to keep myself afloat. So after I got back from Spain, my parents had moved to Florida, and I went back to Jacksonville. I was living with them. I got a fully remote job in PR, and it was just like terrible. I hated it. It was so boring. I just like couldn't sit at the desk all day. Then I moved back to Philly. I'm still working PR. I knew I was gonna get into real estate, but it was kind of a slow burn. Got into real estate, and now I'm Philadelphia's #1 realtor. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah.
I don't have that exact title. I was one of the top 10 rookies in Philadelphia. So
she should be.
there's a title for you. But if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, please call me.
I'll link all of her stuff in the description.
That is my really long intro. So basically, I'm Marina. I'm from Delco. I went to Penn State, moved to Spain for a year, went back to Florida where my parents moved, and made my way back to Philadelphia. And now I'm just tackling the real estate market of Philadelphia and the surrounding suburbs.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry I almost forgot to have you introduce yourself there.
I would never forget.
God would not let us forget. Okay, perfect. So now that you guys know who we are, Marina is, all the things, we are going to dive into a list of questions, and I'm not afraid to tell you it's from ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
GPT. And
You can tell Allie doesn't use it. I use ChatGPT every single day of my life.
Marina tells me all the time to use ChatGPT, and I need to get on the train because the questions that this thing popped out for us are just...
Well, the first ones, they were not good. You always got to tweak it a little.
And then she told her to get more into the nitty gritty, and she sure did. So we're going to dive right in. And the first question is, when did you realize that not having it all figured out was actually freeing, and what did that moment teach you?
I think the moment I realized was when, not the moment I moved to Spain, but after I'd been in Spain for a little bit, because I was so worried about moving to Spain, because obviously it was after I graduated college, and I moved down to Florida with my parents, and I see all of my friends getting their big corporate jobs, making good money, living in the city, having fun. And I was still bartending and about to move to Spain to go teach English. And I'm like, maybe I would be a teacher after this, but I didn't know. So I got to Spain, and still, like, I saw everybody was getting jobs, like doing the normal things that happen after college. And I was just worried that I was going to fall behind. And I think the moment I realized in Spain was like, when I realized I had to live in the moment. I couldn't be applying for jobs in the U.S. from 6 months from now when I'm in a different country.
Right.
Like, I just had to focus on where I was and have fun and live in the moment and travel and be a carefree, what are you, 22 when you graduate college? A carefree 22-year-old. And you know what? I have no regrets. And I was scared that I was going to when I got there. And I learned so much about myself and life after that.
I feel like I had a similar experience as I, only for the summer, moved to Costa Rica the summer after graduating. And I had the same, like, little bit of a wake-up call where I was, like, missing out on activities to do Zoom interviews and, like, applying to jobs all night long and all these things. And I, like... was like, I actually would rather do nothing less
Yeah.
than apply for jobs right now when I'm literally in Costa Rica, about 10 feet away from the beach, walking around in bathing suits all the time, like going ziplining, surfing, teaching high school girls how to be like confident young women and empowering them, and like literally doing the coolest thing ever. And I was like, when I get back in 3 months, I'll figure out my job. And like honestly, we are recognize the privilege in having like parents that would let us live at home with them until we're like 80. But you know, that was something that we both knew like was an option to us. So we were like, let's just live in the moment and we'll figure it out when we need to figure it out. Like, I don't need to have a job in the United States right now when we're in Spain or in Costa Rica, right? Like, we will figure it out. And even moving home from Costa Rica, I did the same. Like, it took me still another year, and I went back to Costa Rica again. And then that summer was when I was like, okay, I want to figure it out.
Yeah.
But like, did the same thing. Went home, worked at a country club, had like 4 part-time jobs, and was living at home, saved up money. And then like, I don't think I could have done the things that I did after that, aka moving out, getting a dog, doing all the things, whatever. If I didn't take that like year and a half, 2 years to figure it out. Right?
Not at all. Yeah. I mean, I feel like my whole life I was always focused on building my resume for like the next thing that I didn't even know was coming. And then once I got to Spain, I'm like, okay, I can't build my resume here. Let me just live life.
But I also feel like that's like, it's the coolest thing to talk about in interviews.
It's the
like,
soft skills. I always like had to find tangible things to like build my resume, but it's really like your experiences that make you who you are. So
we say all that to say, like, maybe some people would look at like not getting a job right after school as a setback, or like you're behind, and I'm using air quotes if you're not watching this, because though that's not really a thing that exists to feel, although society makes us think that that is a thing that we should feel. But you know, some people might look at that and be like, oh, well, they're wasting a year of like making actual money. And it's like, well, whatever full-time job I'm gonna get, I'm probably not gonna be making actual money anyway.
I definitely wasn't.
No, me neither. I might as well go live in Costa Rica for 2 summers and then go make more, like a little bit more money, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
money will come back to you. Experiences can't.
Exactly. So what steps have you taken to kind of break out of periods of complacency, and how did you recognize needing to kind of take those steps?
Yeah. I mean, I think we all get in. I mean, you had a whole episode of being in a funk.
Yes.
So tune back to that episode. You can click the link here. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if you do that. I think we all get in funks in times, and I think when I do, I have to surround myself with things that are going to take me out of that. So for me, it's always like self-help books or podcasts that take me out of that. I love like personal development podcasts and books. My girl Mel Robbins, and some of like my like right now I'm rereading Atomic Habits because I'm like, okay, I need to like get my habits back in check. And there's this, I'm totally going to butcher what the study is. I should have looked it up, but there's some study from some university that when
really reliable
sources that when you surround yourself with successful people or people who have habits that you want to obtain, you are like 94% more likely to pick up those habits or become more successful or become more productive. So it's not only like surrounding yourself around people that are like that, but also like the daily things that you're doing in your life. Like you want to be consuming yourself with positive things and mindsets to kind of rewire your brain. So for me, it's taking it back to the self-help books and podcasts.
Something else we kind of chatted about offline was about like if you're feeling maybe complacent like in work but you don't know how to fix it, like finding another area of your life where you can kind of challenge yourself, or whether that's like physically like working out, or like another, I don't know, relationships or something where you want to like be better and you feel like you can actually tackle that. Whereas like sometimes like our jobs are like what we do at work is sometimes completely out of our control, or how people like perceive, or the tasks that you get is like just depending on your job. Like it's, some people really have very minimal room for creativity in their jobs, so it's a lot harder to like be like, okay, I want to do this in my career, but like I have to stay in this job for this many years to like be able to do that. So it feels like you're kind of stuck. But if that's the case, like find another area of your life where you can maybe take those steps to kind of break out of the complacency, so you're not feeling like every single avenue of your life is just this big like stuck block.
Exactly. Like sometimes work is just work for people, so like work is just a job, and that's fine. It's like a weird thing that American society has like drilled into us. It's like this. When we walk up to people, like one of the first questions you say when you meet someone is like, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
And like we in America will always respond with what our job is. But in other countries, like there was a story about a man that says, oh, like I'm a painter or whatever he said. And they're like, no, but like what do you do? And he's like, I'm a painter.
Yeah.
And just pointed out that Americans are always like focused on work. So like if you're complacent in work, like that's fine, because sometimes work is just a job for somebody, and you can put your passion into something else after that, like painting.
I literally just saw a TikTok of a girl talking about like making your career something that's just like easy for you, and doesn't take up a lot of your like energy and time and stuff. And obviously, like if you're able to find a career that's like also your passion, you're able to monetize something that you love doing, like do that.
Yes.
But for some people, that's not an option.
Yeah.
So like, if it's something that you're just good at and you can make enough money to like sustain your lifestyle, like do that, and then find other ways that fulfill you, like outside of work, like Marina was saying. Like I think it's such a common misconception, and like you said, like America, I feel like is really like the culprits of that. Because you're right, other countries, they probably talk about like their favorite hobbies or like what they like do like for fun first before they're like, oh yeah, I do this for a living. Like that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Do you have any times that you can think of when you embraced discipline and that like turned a challenging situation into a less challenging situation for you? Kind of change your perspective?
Yeah, I think professionally, I think it's showing up and constantly doing the small things. Real estate is such a hard industry to break into, and it's like such a slow burn to actually see results and success. So it can be really frustrating when you're putting in the work every day to make cold calls or reach out to whoever you need to reach out to, and just researching the market and doing open houses every weekend. It's showing up and doing the small things and then seeing that unfold months and months later. You just have to like see the bigger picture. So that's like a professional nod to it. And but like, I don't want to make this all professional. Like another personal one is just, I went cold turkey vegan once. No, for like years. For like 2 years I was vegan. I got COVID, and then I was just like, I have to order my groceries online. So then I only ordered vegan things, and I was just vegan for 2 years. But it was challenging at first because I was like, what the hell do I eat? But it turned into something greater, because after I went vegan, like I'm so much more conscious or intentional about what I'm eating and looking at ingredients. I'd never read ingredients before because I could eat anything I wanted.
Right.
But when you're vegan, I'm like, is there cheese in here? Is there butter in here? I'm no longer vegan. I love meat and cheese, and I will eat it all. I love burgers.
We're Italian, so that wasn't going to last
very long. No, it was not.
But yeah, no, those are good examples. I don't know. Discipline's my word of the year, so I don't know if I have an example at the moment, but I would maybe like...
You didn't drink for a whole year.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I did a whole episode on that too.
Yeah.
That's actually a perfect example. Thanks, Neen.
You're welcome.
My sober year, that took a lot of discipline. More so because of like outside pressure. Visited this one in Portugal, and she was like, you're not going to drink in Europe.
I was a bad friend. I was pressuring her.
We were literally like on a boat. Like it was the most beautiful, like... And I was like, nope, I made it too far.
And she didn't. And she was still a blast.
Yeah, no, we had so much fun. And I was only honestly like 4 months in at that point, because I think I came in April.
Yeah.
And it could have been an easy time to be like, okay, whatever, I'll give it up. Like, it wasn't like I was 10 months
I would have caved. You were very strong. And like, she was still so much fun. I was just like being annoying.
No, it's fine. There were so many people. I went to a wedding, and people were like, you're not going to drink at a wedding? And I'm like, well, no, like literally so close to being done my year. Like
that was in like December.
Yeah,
right?
The wedding was literally like the last
you were way
few weeks.
too close.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so there's a whole episode on that too, so you can check that one out of things I learned during my sober year. But that's actually the best example I could even come up with. I was going to say something about athletics, and I was like, not even that disciplined. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
How do you personally balance the pressure that society puts on us to kind of have everything figured out, but also staying open to new opportunities, new possibilities, new goals, new ideas you set for yourself?
I think the biggest thing for me is being adaptable. I think I'm a very adaptable person, but again, we're also like me and you are both huge on goals and like working towards them, and that's like where we're like we have to have it all figured out. And then obviously like nobody like no life is not a linear line,
right.
So being adaptable but knowing your goals and what you want and like working towards that is great. But when there's a detour, like you got to be ready and open to go on that and see where that's going to go. Like I thought I was going to climb the corporate ladder of America and here I am in real estate just trying to make it day by day. And I'm having fun figuring it out. It may seem like I have it figured out online, but I don't.
Yeah, that's the privilege of social media. It's a highlight reel.
Yes.
I would say for me, something that I've been trying to like reprogram my brain recently over the past few years is like what my definition of consistency is, because like I got really down on myself when I like went to CrossFit for like 6, 7, 8 months, and then I got the flu and strep throat and a concussion all in the month of January, so I like canceled my membership, and then I just like never went back, and still to this day haven't gone back. It's been a year. Obviously,
have they called you?
No, I picked up running and other things, but like it's okay for me to be like, okay, I was consistent with CrossFit for a year, and like now I'm consistent with running or trying to. I'm getting back into it because I got to Broad Street.
It's hard when it's cold.
Yeah. But no, it's like, okay, there's other things that you can be consistent with. I think in my head, I thought consistency meant like I'm going to do CrossFit 3 times a week for the rest of my life. And that is so unrealistic. Like, I can do it for a year and be like, okay, this doesn't really make sense for me this next year of my life. And I know I'll go back one day when I can afford it.
Yeah.
But
running's free.
Running is free. I can do that anywhere, anytime. And that was also like a really fun challenge for me, and being consistent with that also brought me the same level of like joy and success as going to CrossFit or going to the gym did. So just finding like new ways to like challenge myself, I feel like has helped me shift the like pressure of feeling like I have to have it figured out in any area of my life, because like I thought going to CrossFit was like it. And I literally remember telling my private Snapchat story, I was like, if I stop going to CrossFit, somebody slap me in the face. Like I could pull up that video right now, and because I loved how it made me feel. Like I felt like such a bad bitch leaving the gym. I was like, I can lift literally so much weight for me, and like I was just like, I would never dream of doing a workout that hard, but then I did it, and you feel so good about yourself. But now I'm like, I would never dream of running 10 miles, but you do it. Like you just find other ways to like be consistent and challenge yourself. And I think like in the vein of being open to new possibilities, like that's kind of where it's like manifested in my life is like, okay, I'm not going to be doing this for 2 straight years. Like let's find something else that I can do. And there's other things that I do for whatever, like making my bed every day or whatever. Like, but sometimes you just got to switch it up.
Love making my bed every day.
Reinvigorate the motivation.
Yes.
Which is a perfect segue into what habits or routines have helped you stay disciplined when it's tough, aka cold, miserable months of the year. We just talked about the February blues, so I would love to hear your insight on your discipline.
For me, it's literally working out. I have to work out at least 5 days a week. Now, granted, there are some weeks where maybe I get 3 or 4, but I would say consistently I'm working out Monday through Friday. Every day. I wake up at 6. Takes me like 30 minutes to gather myself, and hopefully I'm at the gym by like 6:30, 6:45. And it's just the act of getting there. Even if like there's a day where I'm like, I do like a slower Pilates class and I really didn't like sweat too much, or if I do a intense freaking HIIT workout, I still leave feeling better about myself
100%.
and knowing that like I set my day up. I'm like, okay, if I did that, I can do anything for the day. And I really recommend the book Morning Miracle. It's all just like simple things. You're like, okay, like I know, but it just lays out everything. And like, if you can get your mornings figured out, you can get your life figured out.
I love that.
That's what the book says. I'm still working on it. But like, seriously, like if you get your mornings figured out, your day is so much better. And the way to get your mornings figured out is doing it the night before. You literally have to prep yourself the night before.
Yeah. I love that answer. I think something we talk about in our accountability calls is getting our morning routines figured out.
Yes.
And like that is something I really want to. I feel like I never really like I do the same things every day, but it's not like, okay, like this time I do like not that it needs to be that rigid, but like I'm not waking up at the same time every day, that's for sure, unless this one Puda's laying down here wakes me up at the same time to go to the bathroom. But like my day doesn't start at the same time every day because I'm just like, oh, today I need to sleep a little longer, like whatever. But I feel like having that routine where I'm like, okay, no matter what happens, I need to be out of bed by 8:30, whatever. And like 6 is just so unrealistic for me because I'm a sleeper. But like whatever it is for you like finding out.
You have to know yourself.
Yeah, right. Like figuring out what works best for you and making a routine, even if that routine consists of 2 things, like getting up at a certain time and like showering in the morning. Like I'm a morning shower.
It doesn't have to be working out. Like,
if you would rather work out at night or you want to work out only twice a week, like figure out what your other day's routine looks like. Like that's something that I'm trying to like figure out in this year and really get a grasp on the routine, because I do think that we like giggled about it, but I do think when you have your mornings figured out, like the rest of your day feels so much more achievable. Like you're just set up for success. Like if you prep your outfit. We talked about this maybe a couple episodes ago. I don't remember which episode, but like laying your outfit out for me the night before is like a game changer. It's one less thing I have to think about. Even if you're laying in bed and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't lay out my outfit. Like just thinking about it is going to make the next day like a million times easier, because you get up and you're like, okay, I'm going to wear this pants, these shirts, whatever. And you can just go. Like, because I will stand in my towel staring at my clothes, my closet, literally for like so long, and I'm like, I could be doing literally anything else right now if I just thought about this last night. Like it's the silliest little things, but it sets your day up for success. Like truly
doing the small things gives you more freedom in your day. Like literally just prepping yourself gives you back so much freedom. So it might feel like a pain to like meal prep for an hour on Sunday, but then the whole week, like you have so much time back to yourself because you don't have to dedicate any time to thinking about what you're going to cook, cooking it, even grocery shopping if you need to. But so like, it's all about just giving yourself more freedom by preparing yourself, which going back to where this all started is in the morning. But I do recommend getting some movement every day because movement gives you serotonin, energy. It doesn't have to be a HIIT workout. It doesn't have to be some crazy yoga class. Go for a walk. On days where I don't want to go to the gym and like I'm just tired and I'm like it feels cozy in my bed, I will bring my ass to the gym and make myself do the 12-3-30, which is still fucking killer. You don't have to do that. You can literally walk on a flat. It doesn't need to be on an incline. And I let myself watch Netflix. Yeah. Because it feels like a little treat that I'm watching. 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah, I feel like I'm giving myself a treat by watching Netflix, but at the end of the day,
you're moving your body.
Yeah, and I leave my morning still feeling as I would have if I was maybe in a better or more motivated mood. That's
such a good life hack too. I will like listen to like half an episode of a podcast or whatever on the way to work, and then I would like run at work and I'd be like, okay, you have to listen to the rest of this podcast, and whenever the podcast ends you can be done running. I don't care if the treadmill is on speed 3.
Yes.
Like run, walk, whatever until the podcast ends. Like give yourself something, or an episode of Netflix or whatever. Like scroll on TikTok while you're walking. Like whatever you have to do to trick your brain into like figuring out how to achieve the goals you want to, like do that, and then eventually it'll become easier and you won't have to scroll on TikTok, you won't have to like
then it becomes music or whatever.
It'll just be part of your habits, your routine.
I'm in the gym watching Love is Blind and there's like Chad next to me like sprinting at 7 miles an hour for 40 minutes as I'm like
just
taking in the drama.
Taking in the pods.
Yes.
I love that. And it kind of segues into our next question is, what has been the mindset shift that you've had to take that kind of helps you let go of complacency and start taking action?
Haters are my motivators.
I knew she was going to say that.
That's what it is. There's people that doubted me, people who were worried about me going to real estate, and just like a lot of negative voices, and even like people that cared about me and like they just wanted the best for me, but like, are you sure you want to do that? That's like such an unstable career, a lot of uncertainty, but if anybody can do it, why can't I?
Right.
So, and you got to tell yourself that about anything in life. Like, if that person knew it, why can't you do it?
Right.
If, like, come on.
Yeah.
And also knowing that I hated working a corporate job. Like, I love the freedom of my job. I love the daily activities and getting connected with people and just having impacting relationships form every day with the most random people. I couldn't be happier, and I love proving people wrong, but I don't do it just for that. I also do it for myself. I love just like proving myself wrong, or not proving myself wrong, but proving myself right.
Yeah.
That I can do this. And that's what I tell myself every day. I look at the mirror and I say, you've got this.
You can do this. That's such a good point too, because like obviously this whole podcast is about like not caring what people think, but everyone always like on TikTok thinks about like when if you wanted to start posting on TikTok or whatever, like thinking about like people sending your TikToks into like your high school like their group chats or whatever, like talking shit, and I think about that all the time. Yeah, because I'm just like, people probably are like, who does Allie think she is? But like
number one podcast
we're manifesting in
America, in the world.
We're manifesting. But also I'm like, people that are doing that are just like projecting that they wish that they were going after their goals in the way that like, not even me specifically, but whoever they're talking shit on is, right? Like, and whether it's me, whether it's an influencer, whether it's someone else, Marina, whoever, like, and that's why I put myself in check when I'm like comparing myself to people, because I'm like, I just want to be them, actually. Like, I just am like jealous. Like, if I'm like oh wow, like I'm not gonna like this post because like I'm jealous of what they have, like that is so nasty, and like it's so like unhealthy and toxic, because like it comes from a place of like jealousy, and it's like, okay, well, use that as motivation. Like, if somebody is doing something that you want to do, like Marina said, why can't you do it? Literally get up and go. Like, and obviously like social media is a highlight reel, like we said, like whatever people are posting online, like you have no idea what's all going on behind the scenes. So like, again, with the comparison, like having that mindset shift of like, I'm just going to go after my goals and like not care what people think, is like the key to like having that mindset shift of like not feeling like you're whatever compared to people, behind, ahead, not doing enough, doing too much, whatever. Like, it's literally no one's call besides what like your goals are. Like, so. And
also like, everyone thinks the world revolves around them. Nobody is focused. Nobody cares about you.
Wait, I saw a TikTok that was like, it's actually so selfish to like have anxiety about like what people are thinking of you. Yeah. Like, who do I think I am? Yeah. Like, I'm that special that people are everyone in the gym is talking about me or looking at me. No, like my gym anxiety, like I literally think everyone is stopping their workout to make fun of my form. Like, they're simply not.
We're working on this in our accountability goal.
Can't even work out once a week at the school. But like, no, seriously, like me thinking that the entire school,
that's crazy,
like is obsessed with me to the point where they're looking at me doing my workout. Like, how selfish am I, right? Like,
insanely.
It's insane.
Like,
so,
but like back to what you said, where like nobody's talking.
Right.
I mean, people talk shit, but like, everything is a reflection of themselves. Mm-hmm. Everything is like, nothing is personal towards you. If people are whatever, like saying shit to you or anything's like, everything is just about them. Yeah. It's just a reflection of them. They're deflecting.
Yes. How has letting go of the need for perfection influenced your personal growth?
Analysis paralysis. Or is it paralysis analysis? No, analysis paralysis. If you are just like focusing on perfecting one little thing, you're not going to make any progress. Right. You can't confuse movement for progress. Like, just because you're moving, just because you're moving like your mess around the room doesn't mean you're actually cleaning
anything.
And let
That's
me
a good
bring
analogy.
up. Thank you. Let me bring up another study from an unknown source. I don't know where I read or saw this
We'll
or
try
heard
to fact
this.
check and put the links below. If
There,
not, you just have to take our word for it.
at another random university, I don't know where, there was a photography professor who split the class up in two groups. Group A was their sole grade for the year was based off of one picture that had to be perfect. And Group B, their sole grade for the year was the quantity of pictures they could take. So they had to go out and take as many pictures as they could. So Group A is taking this one picture and trying to perfect it, edit it, do whatever they can with it, while Group B is out in the world trying different angles, getting different lighting, just like snapping away, where they're learning from their mistakes and kind of like tweaking and going as they can. And at the end of the year, obviously, Group B had far better pictures than Group A, who needed the one perfect picture, because Group B was not focused on being perfect, but just getting out there and doing reps. And speaking of, your word of the year is discipline, my word of the year is reps. So you just need to get out there and do what you need to do. It doesn't matter if it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to overthink it. Just do it. And do it as many times as you can until it's, I guess, perfect, but nobody's ever perfect.
Well, I like talking about the word perfection too. I'm glad our girl chat brought this up because
girl chat,
we're on a first name basis.
Our girl chat,
because perfection is, I think we're both kind of perfectionists and like get
in different ways.
Definitely different ways. But like we just think deeply about the thing because we care.
Yes.
Like,
we're just striving to be
like the best we could be.
Yes.
But kind of like redefining perfection, like if you were to take a step back and be like, okay, what is your perfect day? Like you could just be like, in like the vaguest way, like you eat all 3 meals, you go to the gym, whatever. But like if you were to get nitty gritty and be like, okay, well, I'd have to do this many reps of this thing, like it would be like so. I'm not explaining this how I want to. If you think about your perfect day and you would just be like, okay, these things happen, and like going to the gym, making your bed, whatever, all these things are on there. And say you go to the gym, but it's not like the best workout that you have that day. Like you still like had a perfect day in your like definition of your perfect day. So like the word perfection is so like, what's it? Like when multiple people have different definitions.
Arbitrary?
Yeah. It's just like...
It's subjective.
It's subjective. That's the word I'm looking for. Like anybody's perfect could be different. Marina's perfect is different than my perfect. So like who's to say that you're being perfect, right? Like it doesn't...
Nobody.
It's not... Yeah, it's like not real.
That's...
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah, it took you a while to get there. It took you a while to get there, but now I understand. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So like,
the perfect you're striving to be is not somebody else's perfect.
Right. So like, just do whatever you like. Do it.
Yeah.
And it'll be perfect.
Exactly.
Like, it'll be perfect because you did it. Like.
Exactly. Just do things that you like.
Just freaking do it. So we're gonna segue into how we handle societal pressure to having a perfectly mapped out life while staying true to our unique journeys. And I think this is a good thing for us to talk about because we have had unique journeys, like we mentioned, like not going directly to a full-time job the day we graduated college, living abroad for several months or a year or whatever, and doing things like not in corporate America, we don't have normal 9-to-5s, whatever. So I feel like we're in the right space to be talking about this.
Yeah.
But I will say it's so hard to not like let societal pressures.
Oh yeah.
Like it's almost impossible. I shall say
it is impossible.
But I've talked about this in several episodes. I think in like back maybe a few months, I talked about journaling and how important that is, and I talked about a prompt of like reflecting on like what a version of you from 5 years ago would think about your life now. And I like think about that all the time. I like try to put myself in 21-year-old me and think about like how cool she would think I am. Like I've always dreamed of living alone in a city and having a dog, and like check. Like, and not that it's all easy and perfect, but like 21-year-old me would think that's literally the coolest thing. Like, or even 16-year-old or 15, whatever, 10-year-old me, like that has always been the dream. So to like be only 26 and do that, and I've been doing this since 2 years ago, like
living the dream.
It's literally living the dream, and it's like so cool, even though there's still so much more to the dream, right? But to just think back and be like, okay, like I have done so much. And that reminds me of another TikTok I saw, and they were referencing a book called The Gap and the Gain.
Okay, and she has named her source.
Thank you. She talked about how the gap is living in like the gap of what we're missing, like what we still want to achieve, right? But the gain is living in like all that we have gained already.
I love it.
And talking about like what kind of person people are. So like some people are like living in the gap livers, and other people are gain livers. And it's like reminding yourself and kind of calling yourself out. If you're living in the gap of being like, oh, I'll be happy when, or I'll be satisfied when I do this, or when I get this, or when I move out, or when I'm married and have kids, like whatever that thing is that you think you'll be happy when that happens. Instead of doing that, live in the gain and be like, I have done this and I'm so proud of myself for it. I'm so grateful I've had these opportunities. I've been in my full-time job for almost 3 years now, and it's like the coolest thing, and I get to do the coolest stuff, like thinking of all the things that you've achieved in the gain. And I also, Marina always talks about the grind. She hasn't said that word yet, actually. I haven't
said the grind. I do have the grind in my notes. Yes. I'm always about the grind.
And I want to throw that kind of in the middle there, and I think it'd be okay to also live in the grind and the gain. But the gap, we're not living in the gap. I think the grind is okay, because sometimes you gotta just put your head down and be like, okay, I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I know like I've done so much and I've grinded so hard that if I just keep grinding a little bit longer, like I know I can do whatever. Yeah. I think that's healthy. But being like, oh, when I'm rich, I'll be happy. Like, okay, what are we doing to like make that a reality? So I really liked that little clip I saw, and I want to get that book. So maybe I'll link the Amazon link below. I love it. We'll read it.
Yeah, it's almost like a glass half full, half empty. Yes. Like, don't live in lack. Yes. You can't be thinking about what you're lacking. Like if you're in the grind, you're not in the grind because it's like, oh, like I'm not this, I'm not that. Like, you're focusing on
your daily goals, your routines, your habits. Not like grind, like, oh, I have to just do this to get by. Like,
exactly. I mean, I have to do this because I don't have this. It's I'm doing this because like this is who I am.
I know I'm capable of this. Yeah.
Yes. It's like identity based habits. It's like who you are in the moment rather than what you're not. Yeah. And what you don't have.
Well, and also like, obviously, well, I believe in like the law of attraction and what you put out into the world. Love. Yeah. Like all the things you think and say about yourself.
We are manifestors.
Or manifesting, and they will like that become your reality. So if you're,
it's true.
It's real. It's really work. Real. I also saw another TikTok, and it was some like psychologist. Okay, I don't know her name, but she's
we legit. Are throwing out a whole lot of unnamed sources.
This is what happens when TikTok is your source. Okay. But she was talking about how your brain actually doesn't know the difference between reality and like a made up thing that you're visualizing. So like talking like in cheerleading, they would have us sit down and visualize our routine hitting perfectly. You're landing your back tucks. They would literally sit us down
I didn't know
and
that.
Play the music. And we would sit there in a circle and we'd all shut our eyes. And we would do the routine, we would do the cheer, like everything, like perfectly in our heads, right? Oh. And it's like a visualization tactic. And my mom would do the same thing with me about like getting a good grade on the spelling test because I was terrible at spelling in middle school or elementary school. And like just different things. And like your brain isn't smart enough, crazy or not, crazy to believe it, is like not smart enough to differentiate like what's real and what you're visualizing. So if you visualize that over and over again, it will like your body and brain will start to create those things in your life to like make that your reality, which is so cool and crazy to think about.
It's so weird.
So if you're living in the gap and you're thinking about, oh, when I have this, I'll be happy, like you're just gonna, it's never gonna happen, right? Like start behaving in a way of somebody that has those things, and then it'll come to you, right? Like I really believe that.
It's true. The words you speak are the house that you live in.
Another good quote. We are crushing it today.
Source unknown. But if you're just speaking in lack and negative intentions, attitudes, whatever, that's what you're going to attract. It's so true.
Yeah.
Speak positive. Attract positive.
And we're big affirmation girlies too.
I've been affirming.
Yeah. I've can affirmate me.
I've been affirmating every morning since last week of January, consistently, Monday through Friday. So I wake up, my alarm goes off, affirmations.
Yes, I love that. I've been on a journey with affirmations because the I am affirmations don't really sit right with me. Like, I am beautiful.
I start with like probably like 10 of them. Like,
yeah.
Kind. I say I'm happy, I'm healthy.
Yeah. No, I like that. I get it.
And then I move on to like who I am.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm not really that yet.
You know, things you're manifesting.
Yeah.
No. It's a good task and habit to implement into your daily life, and it's so easy, right? You could literally say it out loud on your way to work. You could say it in the shower. You can write it down. Whatever.
When I didn't know what to do, I like YouTube like positive affirmations, and I would literally repeat the girl on YouTube because I was like,
that's so
I was
sweet.
like, I don't know what the hell to say.
It's weird. It's a weird thing to think about because like you need some examples first before you can just be like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
like,
I'm like, wait, okay.
Yeah.
I was sitting. It was taking too long. I'm like, I don't have enough time for this. So I was like, let me just go on YouTube. It was like a 7-minute video, and it doesn't even need to be that long.
Instant gratification, girlies. If you couldn't tell. No, affirmations are huge recommendation from us on the green comfy couch here.
Exactly.
And our last thing we want to do is give a piece of advice to people that are also feeling this way, kind of feeling stuck, struggling with feeling like they're behind. I can go first with, I would say, just starting small. I say this in literally every single episode when we're trying to 86 things. Starting small is like the number one thing I have realized that works for me because as we said for like the 7th time, discipline is my word of the year. And if I don't do small tasks, I won't ever get to the point of being able to like stay disciplined with it because I will give up so quick. So, you know, starting small and being like, okay, I'm going to do like, and that's what we talk about in our accountability calls. Like our first one, we were like, these are things that I would love to be doing by the end of the year. But like right now, these 3 are my main priorities and we'll implement more after we get these 3 under control, you know? So I think having like a larger goal and outlook, but then being like, okay, let's start small. What can I do right now that will help me like get through these goals? But that would be my biggest piece of advice, to just start small and feel confident before adding in more goals and tasks to your life.
Yeah. And my advice is, and this is just fresh in my mind because again, I'm rereading Atomic Habits. 1, my advice is read that.
I need to read it.
2, I'm almost done, and I'll give you my copy.
I would love that.
2 is from Atomic Habits. Sometimes like it's hard and overwhelming to build on another habit, and that's fine. So like sometimes in order to like bring positive room to form another habit is to make a bad habit go away. And in Atomic Habits, they call this inverse habit stacking. I don't know. It's the inverse of building a habit. So you have to make your bad habits difficult. So it's not about like, oh, like I want to be on my phone less so I can like journal more, or like I want to get more sleep, or I want to read before bed. Well, you're probably always on your phone before bed. Well, this is me. This is my example. So instead of saying like, oh, I just won't go on my phone before bed and I'll read, my phone charger is now on the opposite side of the room. I charge my phone every night. So before I lay in bed, my phone goes on the other side of the room. And now it's like, okay, like I need to like make myself tired. Instead of scrolling on TikTok, I will pick up my book, or I will just like literally go to bed.
Go to sleep, yeah.
And then
I've done the same thing, and it's been so helpful.
It is so helpful. So like that is just one example of making a bad habit difficult, like making it hard. If you want to watch less TV, unplug your TV. You have to plug it in every time you want to watch TV. Like you're gonna be like, that's too much work.
Well, and it's a daily reminder of like, I did this to remind myself to watch it. Like maybe I shouldn't plug it in right now.
Exactly.
Like, I could go do something
then
else.
you actually have that like time to think like, do I actually want to watch TV, and rather than just like clicking it on.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was from Atomic Habits.
Love it.
But also plugging your phone in the other side of the room helps your mornings.
Because you have to get up out of bed to turn your alarm off, and then you're up, right? Then
you're up.
Already up.
You're up. So that's my advice. And like Allie says, don't start small. Don't start too big.
Yeah.
Professionally, like I'm not going to say I need to make 200 sales calls. That's not going to happen. I hate making calls.
Right.
So start small. Start with 1. Start with 5. And make it the same time every day. So it kind of like feels like ritual. And that's what I've been trying to do. Obviously, some days are better than others, but start small. Start with 1. And then maybe next week, try 2.
That's such a good point, too, with the, like, number. Like, thinking, like, oh, I could do something more than once a week. But it's like, okay, maybe just try doing it once and see if you can do that. That's literally my goal, is to work out once at Arcadia, at my job. To just work out once, and I still haven't done it.
She's going to.
Be fair, I was traveling and things, but I'm gonna do it. But like, it's at first I was like, oh, I could work out at school like 3 times a week, which I could. But maybe let's just start with 1 and see if I can do that, because before you're doing 3, you got to do 1, right? Yeah. So like, start literally the smallest possible way you can, and then build on it and be like, oh, that was actually really easy. Let me do 2. Let me do 3. Whatever. Or that was actually hard. Let's do 1 for a month straight. And I talk about this all in the habits or the goals episode and in the New Year's episode. So there's tons of information out there in this podcast world, but also just in the world in general, like on goal setting and habit building. So read Atomic Habits. I'm going to be next in line for that. And, other books, like The Gap and the Gain, like we mentioned. I
want to read that. Miracle Morning.
The Miracle Morning. See, we had some references.
Yeah. I think another good one for like identity based, because like in like where you want to go in life, because that's how we were kind of started this. But The Alchemist.
Oh, I've heard good things. I
have a copy. You can read it. The Alchemist is so good.
Now that I'm a book reader, not just an audiobooker.
It's short and sweet. It's short and sweet.
I love that.
It's just about like finding yourself and like feeling if you're on the right track or not. So definitely relatable to the
maybe for
top of the episode.
For this week's restock, we're ordering some books or some podcasts.
We're restocking the library.
We're restocking our library of things that will get us motivated in the right headspace.
Restocking our surroundings, our positive surroundings.
And the positive words that we're saying. We're restocking all the positivity and keeping our space safe and in the right headspace for us to kind of, tackle all of these things, as well as not feeling so down about where you are in life, because you have made it this far and you've probably done so much and gone through so much to make it to this point. So you should be proud of that and not feel like you're behind or wherever, because literally there's always somebody that's air quotes behind or ahead or at the same place of you. So like, if that's even something that you can compare, because literally no one's living the same life as you. So like, you can't even really say someone's at the same point or behind or ahead.
Very true.
But if that makes you feel better, sometimes I think about that too. I'm like, there's so many people that are like, there's ahead of me that are just older than me, like they're ahead of me because they've had more life to live, right? Like that's naturally what's gonna happen. And it's like, okay, like think about all the people that are in high school right now that are probably like looking up to people like us and being like, oh, I can't wait to get like, there's always people that are wishing they are where you are.
Gap in the game, right? don't fall in the gap.
Exactly. So that's our restock for today. Do you have any last words? Thank you so much for joining us.
This was so fun. I feel like it took me a minute to settle into my true natural
vibe.
My vibe. Yeah. It was a little maybe uncomfy at first.
We were nervy.
I was nervy. But I had so much fun.
Thanks for coming on.
We've been talking about this for a long time.
Well,
Allie has been talking about this podcast for a long time.
I was just going to say, I told Marina, I was driving you somewhere, and I told her the title and like the concept, because she also works in restaurants, and got it immediately. And she was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And honestly, that was what I was like, okay, I need to like actually do it, because like people will think it's cool.
It is.
Even though that's not the point.
And they do.
That's not the point, but like the fact that people were having the reaction they did was like...
Well, the point of this is to encourage...
Yeah, it's make a small little impact. And
make an impact.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And so thank you for being
what you're doing.
Small, big part of that.
Aww.
Yeah.
I love you.
Love you.
I am so proud of Allie for doing this and crushing this podcast world.
She also, hilarious note, thought that I turned my living room into the studio. This is... not my living room for anyone who
I totally thought this was her living room. I thought she got a new couch and just wrote on her living room wall.
I love that. That made me... She walked in and was like, where's the studio? So, yeah, in case anyone else thought that, this is the podcast studio. I have a normal living room.
This is their bedroom.
Yes. So,
this is the studio.
It's
not
the
a
stew.
bedroom.
It's the stew. Yeah. So, thank you again.
Thank
I love
you.
If no one's told you recently, we're proud of you. We love you, and you're crushing life's butt. And yeah, keep up the good work, 86ing whatever you're trying to 86. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for having me. Do we shake hands now?
Sure.
It's a pleasure doing business with you. So how much do I get paid?
In my friendship.
Yes. Hi, Buddha. Oh my God, that was so good. I think that was good.
So good.